had the worst sleep of my life. I kept hearing noises, soft shuffling sounds, like someone moving around in the apartment. At one point, I swear I heard whispering, but when I got up to check, the place was empty. The next day, I tried to convince myself I'd imagined it all. Maybe the noises were just the building settling, and the doll was just some leftover junk from a previous tenant. But things only got worse. Objects in my apartment started moving. At first it was small stuff, a pen rolling off the table, a book falling off the shelf. But then it got deliberate. I'd leave my keys on the counter, and they'd end up on the floor halfway across the room. And the smell? It got stronger. It started to follow me, like I couldn't escape it no matter where I went. The final straw was last night. I was lying in bed, trying to fall asleep, when I heard it. A soft, childlike giggle coming from the living room. My heart was racing, but I forced myself to get up and check. When I walked into the living room, the first thing I noticed was the wall panel. It was open, and sitting in the middle of the floor was the doll. I don't know how it got there, but I wasn't about to stick around and find out. I grabbed my keys, ran out of the apartment, and spent the night in my car. So yeah, I'm officially done with this place. I've already started looking for a new apartment, but I can't help feeling like whatever's in that room isn't going to let me go that easily. All right, so I moved into this new apartment a couple of months ago. It's not anything fancy, just a little one-bedroom in an old building downtown. The rent was cheap, which should have been my first red flag, but hey, broke times call for desperate measures, right? Anyway, the place has its quirks. The pipes groan sometimes, the floors creak even when I'm not moving, and there's this faint smell of mildew I can't seem to get rid of. But I figured all of that was just part of living in an old building. Until last week. So I'm in the living room binge-watching some dumb reality show when I notice something weird. There's a draft, like a really cold one. It's strange because the windows are closed, and I've got the heat cranked up. I start walking around trying to figure out where it's coming from, and that's when I notice it. This little gap between the wall and the floorboard near the corner of the room. Now curiosity gets the better of me, so I grab a flashlight and get down on my hands and knees to check it out. I shine the light into the gap and I see a void. Just darkness. It looks like there's a space back there, but I can't tell how big. At this point, I'm thinking maybe it's just a weird part of the building's construction, but a small part of me is like, what if it's something cool? Like a secret storage space or some hidden treasure, right? So I decide to investigate. I grab a screwdriver and start prying at the wall. It doesn't take long before a chunk of plaster breaks off, revealing a small doorway. And when I say small, I mean small, like I had to crouch just to peek inside. What I saw gave me chills. There was a tiny room back there, maybe the size of a walk-in closet. The walls were covered in old peeling wallpaper, a pattern of little red flowers, and the floor was covered in dust so thick it muffled my footsteps when I crawled inside. But here's the thing. The room wasn't empty. In the center of the space was a small wooden chair, and on the chair was a doll. I know, it sounds cliché, right? But let me tell you, when you're face to face with some old, dirty porcelain doll sitting alone in a hidden room, it's not just creepy, it's downright terrifying. The doll was dressed in this old-fashioned lacy dress, and its face was cracked in places. One of its glass eyes was missing, leaving this dark, hollow socket that felt like it was staring at me. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt this overwhelming urge to get out of there. The air was heavier in that room, and the smell, oh man, the smell. It was like mold mixed with something metallic. I backed out of the room as quickly as I could and shoved the wall panel back into place. I told myself I'd deal with it later, but honestly, I didn't even want to think about it.